You love me so, me so, me so. I know. You love me so, me so, me so. I know. You love me so, me so, me so.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another episode of Navigating Life with your girl. Thank you. We are here yet again for another insightful conversation. I sit here not alone. I converse, certainly not alone. And I extend the same to you. You too never walk alone. We are here to have this I feel like it's a very interesting conversation, but it's also a conversation that requires a lot of honesty from us as your host today. I am here yet again with our Uncle Bay. Welcome back.
Hello, viewer.
How are you?
Man, it's an honor. It's a pleasure. It is a privilege to be here always.
I need to comment on your glow though.
On my glow.
Yeah. I feel like no,
Is it there,
man.
really?
It's giving.
Okay.
Can I tell you what it's giving? It's giving somebody who has found some treasure somewhere. I don't know if in your absence you have anything to share.
God, my strength and redeemer. Are you listening?
All right, he's not telling. So, I almost wanted to say, "Ikhona phrase, iti ask me no question, and you shall hear no lies." That's the feedback I got from that. But anyway, let me introduce again our other guest today, Miss Dengu. Almost Gama, guys. Okay, so don't confuse this thing. Siviwe, right? Siviwe Mrwetyana, welcome to our show today.
Good evening, guys. Thanks for having me on the show.
We love it. Thank you so much. We are here to have another conversation, guys. I think what we've explored as the team Navigating Life with Viewer is us unpacking this whole issue of parenting. We've covered parenting before, if you've been following us, but also we are now coming from parenting with a different angle because we need to also reflect, because just a couple of years ago, we weren't parents. We were just students. We were kids. Yeah. We were running around and we were just living our best lives. And fast forward 10, 15 years later, we stand here as mothers and fathers. And also we're just like, in fact, if we are to reflect on the experiences of those that we are parenting, what is it that we can bring forth from our experiences when we were kids? All right, when we were young, right. Excuse my singing, but that's what we are here to unpack and to talk about, right? And particularly, may I add, the issue of substance abuse. We all know we get exposure to these things from your Saitanyana, Brutal Fruity. I'm not selling brands, but I'm just trying to create context. Your Savannah, your whatever, to the most serious stuff, because unfortunately we live in a world where our kids are now exposed to these things. And how do we equip you as a navigator parent? And how do we make sure that we take each other on this journey so that we understand what challenges lie ahead of us? Okay, so now back at you, Moit. I know you don't necessarily partake, but I want to go back to your experiences in terms of how was your upcoming and sort of what was your exposure to things that you may not vote for now, but which your kids might become exposed to?
I grew up in an environment where drinking was a cool thing to do. It was something that was admired by friends, peers, but we were very young to be doing it, to be indulging in it. So there'd always be a way of sneaking out. We, believe it or not, what made it easier for me is that I had a father who didn't drink, who didn't smoke either. My mom didn't drink, didn't smoke either, but I had a whole lot of uncles that did both. All right. So as much as I wanted to admire my father, I still wanted to be as cool as my uncle. So there was always a temptation.
Can I just maybe, because I'm trying to create this context for the viewer. So your perception of your uncles was cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right, then you can continue.
And I wanted, in the eyes of my father, I wanted to be that ideal child who wanted to do all the right things, obey all the rules, follow all the instructions. But deep down there was that
yearning,
hoping and lusting or wistfulness, where you want to experiment with such things. And For the first time in my life, I am going to admit I have tried smoke. Everyone that thought I was clean and I've never tasted some of these things, as a little boy, what happens when a beer bottle is being thrown? You just go for the little teensy-weeny bit that is remaining.
When?
Try and taste it, right? And I remember I said when I grow up, I want to smoke Craving A. Because
it was cool.
It had this
and minty.
Yes. It was such a cool thing to smoke, I thought. And then the others would want to smoke Coatley, Lexington, Beck, those brands.
Never
Jeez,
took
I'm
part.
so old.
I still admire
Chesterfield.
I feel like I still admire you.
But somehow that is why I'm less judgmental of people that gave in to those habits. I was no exception, but there was a firm resolve that I don't think that's the life I want to choose for myself because of what I had seen people who are drunk do. And those were some sort of
I love it.
Buffer.
I love it. I want to actually reflect on my experience before I come to you, Siviwe.
Yeah.
Momo. So my friend Mo would remember this. I think she was a grade ahead of me.
Okay.
And we are all just so curious about, hey, Bo, how does it feel to be tipsy, right? And we were at boarding, of course, right?
Okay.
So the first time, I think we had like outing Wednesdays where you can go into town and actually fill up or get stuff. But we were all like so monitored. It was so strict and so on. But for some reason, I think we carried a backpack with like a 6-pack of Havana. Guys, Savannah has been around for decades.
Savannah.
I swear. Savannah, I remember very well because the one thing we did not consider was how to open this bottle of Savannah. So I remember, like a lock of the door, we're doing this to it.
Yeah.
And but it's like, of course, there were 2 girls in each room, in our hostel. So she was not in my room, but the girls, our roommates were not partaking. I took 1 bottle of Savannah. Prep, prep study.
Yes.
So we took it in that period. So I took 1. I think she also took 1. But navigators, that deep. Zandife barely a prep. I don't know how she was functional because she still went ahead. Go to prep. I hope my daughter doesn't watch this. My dad even. Skip this one, Dada. Jonga, Dinayas Noba. What is going on? I'm going to float a good boat like this from that but I'm simply narrating this because it would then not be my character to partake.
Yes.
But I also remember the coolness around us being naughty and testing it out and how it would be this fun thing that everyone was talking about at school. I was almost a cool kid. But anyway, do tell me about your exposure. The earliest experience you had with these things, whatever it was.
Okay. I also, just like you've just shared, had a very close relationship with my uncles. I also went to boarding school at a very young age. I went to boarding school at the age of 6 years old.
6?
So,
that's like grade nothing.
Yeah.
Standard A.
Yes.
Love it. Okay.
So I grew up pretty much at boarding school. But during holidays, my family being very knit, my uncles were always around. So I idolized my uncles. And my one uncle used to call himself a social giant.
Chisa.
So there was always friends who were both drinking and smoking. And I thought it was cool from a very young age.
Absolutely.
And then also, so when I wasn't at home during the holidays and seeing that, I was also growing up in the boarding school environment where I think by the time I got to high school, we called it status 6 back then. Also, then I was already seeing older boys.
Oh, partaking
In such things. And then also coming from a small town like Grahamstown, you would find that there are...
Oh, by the way, you did go to a prominent school in Grahamstown. Just so you guys know, these things aren't happening at some dodgy, some random, some other... I'm sorry that it seems like I'm just not respecting that, but I'm just wanting to create this clear understanding that we are talking prominent, we're talking top 5 school. We might not mention it, but... look at it this way. It's within the top 5 schools in South Africa. Hint.
Yeah.
Okay. So from a very young age, I saw older boys doing it.
I see.
And being a small boy, it was kind of like almost like natural that I would look up to them.
Of
because
course it should be.
these guys were your first team rugby captains, your first team cricket captains.
Just
So your role models.
Colors for this,
Yeah.
colors for that. He was popular with all the girls.
Yeah.
Some of them were your top academics in the school, prefects and most matrics. Yet, in the dark, they partook in these things, and because in the hostel setup, there was no way that they could do it without the younger boys finding out about it. Even though
I want to
even though
actually
we're sworn
suggest.
to secrecy, but
I want to
we knew
suggest
it
that
was
you
happening.
guys had to be sworn to secrecy.
Yes. You just couldn't be known as the snitch, or it couldn't come out of your own mouth.
Yeah.
And then also, being the small town of Grahamstown, a lot of them went on to become students at the university, at Rhodes University.
Yeah.
And on weekends during our sporting
They would come
derby
to
days,
school.
they would come. And it was almost a big culture of theirs to come drunk and with alcohol and with the girls and everything. So you would see people that you knew partaking in
And it made
those
it so-
activities frequently. So it was always something that I was curious about. And I think for me, I was very curious from a very young age. So I think I almost couldn't wait till I had gotten to the stage where I could try it for myself.
And that stage one would assume would be 18, right?
Legally
In South Africa.
it should have been 18, but because I think I was influenced more by my circumstances, it happened to be before then.
And what age are we talking?
Okay, I think the first time I ever picked up a glass that had been left by one of my uncles or their friends, not finished, would have probably been at around our age of about 6 or 7.
No, God.
No, it's true.
You might
They were-
wait, 6.
And the first time I lit my first cigarette, Stompy, was also probably around the age of 6 or 7.
Yeah. So what I was telling you earlier, it happened around the same age. You're still at primary school then. And there is just something inviting about a smell of alcohol, a smell of nicotine, fused with a smell of male cologne.
Male cologne.
It's the coolest thing. I still find
It
it the
is.
coolest thing even
It is.
today. I don't drink, I don't smoke, but I wear a lot of perfume. So yeah. So basically later on, fast forward to high school life.
I love
also
this
went to
combo that
the
you've
boarding
just
school.
explained. So it's nicotine, alcohol, and some cologne.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
So
combination.
it made
is
it
just
made that person seem like proper man image and
that
what.
fresh smell, and it lingers long after the person has left it.
I wonder how much of that affects us, because I also remember guys, also I was born in the 80s, that used to smoke Rothmans, used to play vinyls, and pepezelayo. I don't know what you call that, silk or something, I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
Ibe maroon, ayihlohle kwibhrukhwe emnyama, right? And then he would be smelling like a proper dad, you
Man
know?
about time.
That for sure created my primary image of what a man. Although he would then later on, tata wabiyeka saningathi zange wabona, washiya ingathi ngoku, sithi ngoku but no, we don't have a drinking problem, but I'm just saying. Also wangumntu ongathi zange wabuthisi, but back at what you were saying.
So this is now primary school age, right?
Wow.
And I go to a high school,
Wow.
boarding school, very strict with all the school rules, boarding house rules. We were not allowed to drink, no smoke, but somehow in the psyche, it was known that boys, when they come of age, they do these things. They were discouraged, right? And people would actually smoke clandestinely. I remember in my high school, well, at high school, really, I feel like I was in charge, in full command of my actions. My friends would actually sneak out and go to to a township there and have their drinks throughout the night, come in the early hours of the morning. There used to be a bedroom. Oh my goodness. I hope I will not be in trouble. It's been years since I've been out of high
What
school
was happening
anyway.
in this bedroom?
So basically, this bedroom, I think at the time I was in grade 11. And it used to irritate me because these guys, they were older and they'd come knock at our window. And our window was actually leading into the corridor. They would jump into the window. It had burglars. So obviously they couldn't come through the door. They had to jump over the fence. And the burglar, it was only known to us that, the burglar is affixed to the wall.
Oh.
So it was actually disconnected. So you would open the burglar as in, like pulling
as
up
if
the
you're opening-
shutters.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Ah.
And then you'd gain entry, obviously, into the bedroom and make it back intact again. And no one would notice as an
Abantwana,
outsider
guys.
until a much later
Later.
investigation was revealed. That's how boys used to sneak out. So basically those habits and there's a thrill around doing something.
So much thrill, hey?
Around doing something that you should not be doing.
Getting away with it.
Away from your parents, and you've managed to actually sneak out of the dormitory. You go and play cool, ekasi, and come back because demonstrably you wanted to show that you were mature enough, This is just me and imagining the psyche. I didn't partake of those things. You can ask my friends. So obviously, sworn to secrecy, you didn't want to come across as a snitch, all right? So you had to keep mum.
Because no snitch is cool.
Yeah, and at some stage, you're like, these guys are old enough to make their own decision as long as they don't mess up with you. Because at the time, you prefect. And some of these guys are prefect, so they've got leadership roles at school.
I swear, guys, that 1 Savannah day was my only instance. I think I had no further instances of breaking the rules. And I think for me, it was mostly informed by the type of parents I had. That's Kala. My mother, I once did something. And whoever picked the call, she never waited for Bantela Nini Kuwe. What jonga mntana, xelela uviwe. Uvuyo, my friend in Ireland, she still laughs at me about that. Xelela uviwe uba ndenza mqhekeza. Imagine. How embarrassing is that? So I think that sort of became a deterrent for me, besides that one instance, which is still hilarious to me. But also, I want to come back to, and actually say, look, your instance is quite interesting because from 6 years, 6 years. But how far? Tell me then, what would then be your journey? From then, because you experimented with this class as your malume, and then ubambese stombi.
Yes.
Then what?
Obviously, at that stage, I didn't actually even know how to do it properly. So I was later to find that was not even the right way of doing it.
Of smoking?
I was just lighting and puffing it, and it would choke me, and I'd throw it away. And it would just end there. Yeah. But everything was fine throughout primary. I was not actually drawn to it or I never attempted to investigate any further. But things would change when I got to high school. Right?
Okay.
When I got to high school, the rules are a bit different. There's a bit more freedom within the school as well. Unlike primary school, where teachers were very hands-on in the hostels, how everything functions, including disciplinary action and stuff like that. In high school, there was a bit more freedom. When I got to boarding school in high school, I found that the matrics are in charge of everything here. You hardly see teachers even inside the hostel or anything. All punishment and disciplinary issues are handled by other boys. What I then noticed is that, okay, these guys, they know exactly who does what, but when it's done by other matrics, it's okay. They wouldn't allow it. It was totally against the rules as a junior to be caught doing such things. But when it came to them, it was okay. But funny enough, what had played a big role in myself starting earlier than others was the fact that because I was black,
Okay.
the older boys would use me to go to places where they couldn't go because of their skin color.
But what sort of places are these?
To taverns.
Aibo
Okay,
Sunshine.
so these are white boys.
Yeah. I could go buy marijuana for them at Lokshi.
But what's the thought process for you? Aren't you thinking, Yima wo walker? I'm the one who's going to have to take the fall for everybody if I'm caught.
I suppose, yes, you are correct. The school itself was very strict against such things. If you got caught drinking or smoking, that was a dismissible offense. You would get expelled for that.
Expelled.
But also, on the other hand, if seniors suddenly took a particular liking towards you and gave you privileges in the school that were not enjoyed by
Other people.
of your same age and your same standard, there was a certain element of coolness about it.
Guys, our kids.
So, and I think I particularly enjoyed the attention that they'd give me and the privileges. So,
As your white senior counterparts.
And because they were a lot older than me, they were able to manipulate me into believing that, listen, we can give you permission to take a bicycle and ride it to the location, and should anything happen along the way or someone stops you for whatever reason, we will cover for you. So should you bump into a teacher while you're driving across town or something and they ask you where you go, we'll tell them that you've been given permission to go cycling.
Did you see my jaw drop, ne?
Yeah.
It takes a lot, because I feel like it's like so calculated.
Yeah.
It's but you're still the front of it. But I do want to say, maybe hear from you, but to what end though?
I think the knowing that I'm the one buying it and transporting it, and that it's frequently something that I'm dealing with and is readily available in my surrounds, added to my curiosity.
But this
And
is
you
you
also
in a
had
very
some sort of
prominent school, hey?
Power and privilege.
Yes.
That is
This is you in a very prominent school, and I'm thinking,
and it
we send our
it
kids
also
there.
set me apart. It kind of like made me one of the bigger boys in the school.
Cool boys.
One of the cool guys in the school. That it was only a matter of time before I was going to try it myself. And I can remember a particular day when I was first introduced to actually how to actually smoke a cigarette. We went and sat behind one of the sheds on the other side of the sports fields, and the guys actually sat there and they taught me how to inhale, how you must inhale it and hold it in and swallow and blow it out so that you don't choke and everything.
I know.
So it was like a whole session, and we didn't leave until I got it right.
Wow.
And
So
this counterparts,
that day for me, I can still remember clearly in my head. It felt I had this sense of accomplishment that I accomplished something like
because
really
suddenly
big.
now I know how to smoke. But do tell me, and before I'm still interested in that journey. But parents, was there anything they were picking up that now I'm done?
No, it was never something that I was ever going to try at home.
Oh, at least you had that sort of
At that stage.
responsibility.
But I think by the time I was in standard 8, though, in standard 8, I think I was introduced to marijuana and alcohol
My goodness.
and cocaine for the first
My
time.
Lord,
cocaine.
at school?
For the
And
first
cocaine.
time, yeah.
At school?
And ecstasy, all in
Hi,
1 year.
Lord
all
Jesus
in 1 year. So,
Also, do you know that grade 8 is standard 6?
yes.
So at grade 6, but also because I have so many questions, but I also just want to start with, we afford njani marijuana, cocaine, ecstasy. I've never taken part, but I'm just also just trying to assess, but as in almost are not like imalo pocket money tengi in next.
I remember I had a Bob what is it? Bob T account. Standard FNB.
Yes, you all had those Bob
Yeah.
accounts.
I had one of those, right? So my parents, my mother and father were never married, right? So my dad would deposit some money into this account, and my mother would deposit some money into this account. And I don't think that they were aware that every week as boarders, we are able to go to the house master and withdraw a certain amount of money, and when we have every week that we can take with to go to town and spend on whatever you like. But at the same time, you never really needed that money because I remember there was a shop wherever you needed anything to add to your school uniform, whether it was toiletries or whether it was sporting equipment, you could just go to the shop and tell them, well, they would see from your school uniform what school you were from, and they would just ask you which hostel do you stay in. They'd take out this book with everybody's name on it, and you could just pick and choose everything that you wanted, and you just sign and leave. So
For your parents' account?
Yeah, on your parents' account. So even the money that I was getting from the house master and the money that they were using and they were sending me, I never needed it for anything.
You take us through
your
to my
experience.
daughter. Asoze kaloku.
Take us through your experience when you had consumed those drugs. I mean, you're saying cocaine and ecstasy.
Yeah.
So I normally hear people speak of psychedelic experiences, hallucinatory euphoria. How did you feel? The aggression? I'm thinking you're a scholar, right?
Yes.
And when you are high, take us through that experience.
Also, when was it fun? Was it fun when you consumed? Because at most, I mean, I've had alcohol, but I mean, was it fun?
Different substances have a different effect on one's psychological state. In the very beginning,
Okay.
it was very fun.
Nice.
Unfortunately, what started as just experimenting for me would later develop into an addiction
Okay.
without me without realizing it
But
and without knowing much about it.
Balance me here, because I still think for you to even have an addiction
Yes.
to cocaine,
Yes.
you must be actually very well off in your pockets, because it means you must feed this addiction continuously. Niyithathaphi le mali, guys, because I also understand that people that are addicted, find it as a very expensive addiction. So Nina, when ungumntana esikolo doing grade 8 at very prominent school in Grahamstown,
Yes.
I understand the prominence of it, because ungasiwa kwesa sikolo, it means your parents can afford for you to actually go into that school.
Yes. I had a particular group of friends who I would consider spoiled today because they
had everything they wanted.
had everything that they wanted.
They were given everything.
They would just name it and they would get it.
Oh.
So I never compared myself to them because when it came to pocket money, just amounts of pocket money, theirs was like 10 times more than what I was getting.
Really?
Yes.
How did that make you feel, though? Knowing that you are not of the same, but you're still with them in the same institution.
Hey, for me, it was something that would cause problems for me in life. It caused me a lot of problems in life.
How?
Because,
Problems?
Yes. I never enjoyed being at the school myself personally.
At that? I mean,
No,
premium
I didn't.
school.
I never wanted to be there. The school itself, I think the first time I realized that I was different from other children was from the age of about 6.
But that's when you joined the school.
I already felt like I was different to other kids. First thing first, the fact that my parents weren't married.
Oh, shucks.
for me became a big problem.
Oh, shucks.
Because my understanding of normality was for children who had both a mom and a dad present in their lives, present
Lord.
throughout their childhood and their journey.
Absolutely.
And then being a Christian school and being introduced to Sunday school and Bible education from a very young age. In my mind, a man and a woman were supposed to be married before they had kids.
And you came before the marriage.
And my parents weren't married. So in my own little mind, I developed an idea of myself as a product of sin.
Oh, man.
So I was very resentful towards my parents from a very young age. I couldn't understand
Before your entire
I couldn't
existence.
understand why the hell they would do something like that to me and bring me into a world where I was different to anybody else.
Oh, yes,
Intentionally.
Yo, Nkosi yami.
So I grew up very rebellious. I was very resentful towards them.
But Siviwe, be that as it may, right? Ngoko, these are people, because you must also, and I mean, I'm sure I speak from an age advantage, that Ngoko, these two people have somewhat worked it out to send you to the best school. You know, doesn't that count for something?
But that's not what I want. That's not what I.
I'm saying then, I want you to reflect on how you felt
at
then.
that stage.
Yeah.
At that age, at that stage,
It didn't matter.
it didn't matter. At that stage and at that age, it didn't matter.
Your conception
Because I had cousins. I had cousins who were studying, who didn't go to those schools, who were living at home with both mom and dad, and they seemed happy. While I had to, every now and again, had to pick up my things and go back to that place where I felt different.
Where everybody was with
Yes.
mom and dad.
And everybody was well off. Remember, my
Well
mother was a single mom.
But she was well off enough
And she,
too.
yeah, but she had to spend every single last cent of hers, and eventually get herself into debt just to keep me in that school. So it wasn't something that she had spare money to do, but she made a lot of sacrifices for me to go there and to stay there.
But isn't that something beautiful?
However, but a 7-year-old kid doesn't understand that.
Well, but for what would make it different for you? Because I feel like all of you are just being paid for. It doesn't matter if your mother isn't carrying debts.
Because I couldn't have a pair of Nike Air Jordans like everybody else could.
Yeah.
Made me feel very different. Because I didn't have the most expensive cricket kit and rugby boots, made me feel very different. It made me hate myself and hate being there and having to see other kids with those things and I didn't have them.
So it's so for you, and I literally, you've just opened this veil for me, because it means it was not just a matter of being at the most prestigious school. No. The lifestyle wasn't matching the place you were at.
And I could feel it. I could see it, I could feel it.
there's a twin problem, right? You are a parent who wants what's best for your child's future.
Yes.
And now when you take your child to a premium school like that, sometimes it happens when all you can afford is just the tuition. But there is a lifestyle behind taking your child to that kind of education. You know, some parents are brought in, drive in posh cars. They pull in posh cars. So basically, you have to take them on school tours. They are on exchange programs. Some of these things are not built into the tuition.
They will
you have
never
to pay,
be.
right? So you've got to respect a parent that is willing and is prepared to pay for their kids to be. But what's missing is the reality, which as a child, you've got no grasp and conception of the fact that there will be lesser or greater
There will
people
not be international
than
holidays.
yourself, all right? And then you've got kids from these wealthy families who can comfortably afford these things. For them, it's normal to play in that league. Whereas for you as a child, you will always be an underling to these kids who are the haves while you're a have-not. So that's something that's a twin reality in our lives. And now I see.
I never saw it like that. I think
metric
it's
farewells,
the first time.
for instance, have you seen how glamorous they've become of late? Right? A metric farewell, I haven't seen some weddings coming
With the
close
Rolls
in terms of the
Royces
glamour.
and the Lambos.
Absolutely. Now the question is, why that amount of investment for a metric child? You know, there was a letter that was doing rounds from the principal. I know I'm digressing a bit, from the principal of, I think it must have been Michael House in Durban, where he was actually, you know, in the throes trying to explain the crass materialism amongst parents who are selling a lifestyle, you know, of avarice, glitz, and glamour, you know, at the school, at the expense of the core value, which is education. So parents are even competing with those things now. You know, I have respect for parents that want what's best for their child. Some of them are my peers. I'm a parent myself. There is a certain quiet pressure that my kids are going to a particular school, and I have to instill in them that it is okay to coexist with people from well-off families, and they must not put us under pressure, you know, to do things just as well as other parents are doing. So there's a whole lot of miseducation.
Yeah. I think that's quite a valuable lesson, and I'm enjoying hearing you saying there is intentional conversations with your descendants to say, asizofaka pressure, you know? But because for me, I think what I'm battling with currently is when something is within your league, right? I mean, I'm imagining a wealthy parent who's just like, okay, child, you're tired of taking transport, here's your car. I'll send this au pair to send you to the bathroom and, you know, watch you as you're doing your business, because they can afford to do so, right? And I'm almost then questioning the pressure that we sometimes put ourselves under, you know, to try and compete in a space that we're not comfortable in, right? Because I think there's a song that I want to quote, but let's leave it out. You know, that it's always just about your perception, you know, because life is different. We live in the same earth. Some of us live in an opulent world and in the same earth. Some of us are living not so opulently, you know, more trying to make it through day and day. Do you understand? But also, and I feel there's space for everybody. But what then happens when you start to move into a space that you're not yet ready for, you know? It's going to cause for pressures. And sometimes we take our little people and we put them in that space because, as you just said, right? And yet it goes beyond just being able to afford tuition. There's a lifestyle that should go with it. And that's what I gather you are saying, right? But when did you realize this disparity is a problem? You know, when did you realize, and I want to almost ask about, was your rebellion then attached to this realization? You know, can you complete it for me? You know,
my rebellion in the beginning was directed purely at my parents, because I didn't want to be there. At that young age, I didn't realize that then that these people were
trying hard,
sacrificing everything to try to give me the best education. I couldn't understand that, and it didn't matter that to me at that age.
Understandably,
Yeah, right. So I became very rebellious. I was aggressive to other children. Obviously, I remember when I got to that school. There must have been about 5 black children there.
Of course, I mean, back then.
I never understood a word of English.
Sure, that's a lot.
I think the only other child that was my age was about 3 standards ahead of me and not staying in the same hostel. So even in the classroom, sometimes I'd have to get one of the cleaning ladies to come and translate for me what they were trying to tell for me. So every day for me
was a struggle.
Was a day of tears and
Lord.
I felt rejected. I thought my parents have thrown me away, and I couldn't understand. I remember they used to remember we used to have those ticky box phones back then?
Yes.
And you could do what was called a reverse call.
Reverse call, yeah.
Yes.
I used to reverse call my
Numerous
mother
leave.
after prep every night. I used to wait in line to make a reverse call to my mom every single day. And
As a parent.
it got to the point where they wouldn't allow me anywhere near a phone because they knew exactly what was going to happen. Once I spoke to my mother, I was going to cry into the late hours of the night, and they'd have to go wake up the matrons and everybody, and it became a big thing. So it became that for me. So for me, it was more of a traumatic experience than anything else.
Oh my goodness.
Right? But
All in the name of giving you the best education.
yeah. But I think what brought me through that is that I was lucky enough to be blessed with a lot of abilities. I started music at a young age.
Right.
And I started sport at a very young age. And
What instruments can you play, Siviwe?
Well, the first instrument I was ever introduced to was a recorder. I think that's where they started. Then it became the piano, then it became marimbas,
my
then I
man.
played the flute,
Yeah.
and I played the drums, and by the time I got to varsity, I think I was playing a clarinet.
Beautiful, man.
So yeah,
Full circle.
and I also had the singing voice. So I sang in the school
You're
choir.
gonna bless us with a song
No,
before
no,
we
thank
leave.
Yeah.
So I sang in the school choir, and I remember also that the very first day I was there, the housemaster's son, who happened to be my age, took me to the school swimming pool. And I'd never seen something so big in my life. It was a huge pool. And he naturally assumed that I could swim, and he just pushed me in.
Yo, Lord.
And I don't know where I got it, but I had the instincts to try to sink myself to the bottom of the pool and push myself right up to the top again to take a deep breath before sinking right down to the bottom again and pushing myself up again.
And no one is coming to your rescue.
Eventually, he saw that I wasn't swimming.
Oh, okay.
And he came and he pulled me out the pool. The very next day, I started learning to swim. So I was able to learn to swim from a very young age, and I happened to be very good at it.
Sure.
So I did swimming, I played rugby, cricket, soccer, everything, and I excelled in everything else. So I think that became my safe space.
Okay, so the activities actually gave you something.
That became my safe space.
Outlet of your frustrations.
What I didn't have, I made up for it by being good at those things.
That seems like a plan that was working.
Yeah.
But when did we then have the switch to a total dysfunctionality? Because I understand when you got introduced to this other not so great stuff. But when was this? Because I also know.
Okay. To be honest with you, right? I passed matric very well.
Love it.
I went off to varsity. But somewhere along the line,
yes,
in between this whole thing, I had developed what I'd call an inferiority complex, if you'd like to call it.
It came back again.
I looked for a sense of belonging and acceptance from the wrong people. Yeah.
But I feel like it wasn't happening for the first time, right? Because if I follow your story, I relate to it from just your story for when you had to be the runner at school for the white boys.
Yes.
And that gave you a certain level of acceptance.
I think by then already, when I try to make when I try to make sense of it now, I'm aware that what I was actually looking for was a sense of belonging by allowing myself to be used in that way.
It's that absence of parents, if I do myself. I mean, I'm not speaking from any professional. It's the love you yearned for when you were crying on that call.
Yes.
So take me through it. So now you are now post-high school varsity years.
Yes.
And this thing is visiting you again.
Yes. Unknown to me at that stage, this was no longer a habit. This was no longer something that I was using to be cool. This eventually became something that I couldn't function without it. Without.
Which is?
These substances.
The habit.
Eventually, it got to the stage where I felt like in order for me to be able to talk to women, in order for me to be able to get on stage and perform, in order for me to be at my best, I needed to have something in my system. And before I knew it, I had lost interest in everything else, and my life had become centered around these substances. So my interest in sport, my interest in music, and my interest in everything else
All withered away.
withered away.
Sure.
And the only thing that mattered to me at the height of my addiction was when and how to get my next fix.
What?
And even when I had reached that stage, I was still in denial about what was happening in my life.
What sort of denial how do you speak to yourself at that point? Because I'm thinking, if your life is centered around what's your next fix, right? How are you in denial? Because for me, it seems so obvious. Listen, all I function around is getting high.
Yes. I didn't know I was an addict. I didn't realize that I was manipulating myself by thinking that I was still in control.
Sure.
Shucks.
Because an addict's mind is can easily manipulate yourself into thinking that you still can stop anytime you want.
Yeah.
You still think that you are in control. You still think that everybody's making a big fuss about everything.
Yeah.
That everybody's overreacting and worrying about nothing. Everybody sees you falling apart and your life falling apart and withering away, except yourself. And you make up all sorts of excuses and reasons. I mean, I gave everything as an excuse why I was like that.
What sort of reasons? Just take me into context.
What I did is that I blamed my parents for everything. I blamed my parents for everything, and in particular, my mother.
Shucks.
And I manipulated her into believing that she had to tolerate my behavior because it was all her fault.
So basically it's payback time.
Yes. So I would indirectly make her feel the need to overcompensate for me feeling like I was rejected and abandoned from a young age by being brought into this world that I blamed them for. So what they now do is, as much as there were many interventions, because
what sort of interventions were these?
The very first time an intervention was made was at around the age of about 21.
Okay.
Where, my mother took me to see a psychologist.
I see. Because you were angry.
Yes. She could tell that something was off with my behavior and my lack of interest in my studies. I changed degrees after my first 2 years. I decided that I wanted to change my degree, and that's when they first realized that there was something definitely wrong. And they thought that maybe because I wasn't able to talk to them, they should get me a professional to talk to. All right. So I went and saw a psychologist, and I had a few sessions, but then I quickly figured out that, okay,
the substances. Yes. They can figure out
an addict is I've never met an addict that is not intelligent.
Yay.
So I quickly figured out that I'm more intelligent than these psychologists.
Are you guys
if I just give them
Are you guys trying to tell me something about myself?
If I just plant an idea in their head that, listen, the problem here comes from the fact that I grew up feeling rejected.
And then they run with
and
it.
I give them a bit of my background.
Then
These guys just run with it.
And at that time you can start.
Now I don't have to discuss my substances. I don't have to discuss anything because these guys are just going to cling to this thing where, oh, it's years of trauma. You know, so I lied and painted another picture about this whole thing to such an extent that my psychologist sent me to psychiatrists. Psychiatrists decided that I was depressed and I was put on medication. This is something that went on for over 15 years. Eh?
So tell me, was it the psychiatrist only, or did you meet some certified drug prevention educators? Did you go to?
But I was never, in the beginning, I was never honest about the substance.
Oh, okay.
Addiction.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would, when asked about my use of substances, I would always say it's moderate. That it's over weekends and that they were not a problem in my life. But it came up upon admission at treatment centers or at rehab, where I would go there for depression, and then once they take my urine and everything, they would detect drugs. I don't know if you have any experience with these kind of rehabs like St. Mark's, where you have two groups. You have the substance group and the depression group. So they would I would go there for depression.
They would move you now.
And once testing my urine, they'd put me in the substance group.
Wow.
So my parents became fully aware now that okay, this person is definitely on substances.
Yeah.
Sure. I don't know. I mean, we're speaking to your parents because I hope you followed the conversation to where we are. Because ultimately, Siviwe, as he sits here and converses with us so honestly, it does happen that, we might have great intentions for our offspring, and for some reason, it does not stick. When you throw a spaghetti to the wall and you hope it sticks, but for some reason, something just does not align and you are left dealing with much deeper issues. And I don't know, because I want to ask you, we're modern day parents, and I'm saying, given what you've just listened to now, with somebody whom, the parents sacrificed so much to take them to the premium school, ranked amongst the top 5, if not top 3, in Grahamstown, and given every opportunity and exposure to what it feels like to live amongst the very opulent, the ones that are, that are
having experienced that myself.
Yes, by the way, Uncle Bay, and you've sent this child to this school, and for some reason, you've given them a different dynamic to deal with, that you're not part of, and you're not there, and they're there on their own, What sort of maybe advice would you then say, look, having been there myself, having listened to Siviwe, I think these are some of the things we should at least minimally consider as parents, as we are raising our children.
Yeah, viewer, I think I'm admitting to certain truths about my own life for the first time.
Okay.
With the brilliance and the eloquence that, of course, it had to be eloquence.
Had to be.
St. Andrews, hello.
Yeah, you had to mention the school name. We've been shying away from saying what it is.
It's a good school. It remains a good
school.
It's
a great school.
Look, the truth must be spoken. I went to Webinar High. I am not ashamed of the education my parents paid to get me through.
Yeah.
Right? And I appreciate every teacher I encountered. I remember every one of them by name, and I continue to carry them in my heart.
I love it.
But what has been unlocked here, today, tonight, this evening, was the fact that your parents can take you to an environment thinking that it will be impressive to you, and then all you get there is a culture shock.
Or it might even be impressive on them.
Because an impression. I'll speak for myself, all right? No disrespect intended to any teacher of mine I've encountered, to any alma mater of mine, all right? I was now being moved in 1993 from Kwagcina Junior Secondary School. Hello, Kwagcina. My dad was a principal
navigators.
There. And then this was standard 5, standard 6, low Webinar High. There was a lot of upheavals. The teachers went on strike, and then my dad thought I deserved better education, and then he took me to Low Webinar High, where the first English class is medium of instruction. It had been a predominantly
Afrikaans, yeah.
right? So I went there with huge excitement and anticipation that I would be sharing space with white kids.
Jesa.
And then I got there were two hostels, dormitories, a girls' hostel and a boys' hostel. A girls' hostel had an attachment where boys stayed. The boys' hostel had been previously an all-white
Hostel.
dormitory, and then they were transferred to the attachment under the pretext that they were weekend kids. So there had to be a difference. It was coloreds and blacks in one compound, or rather dormitory, and then in the girls' hostel, there was 8 coms and there was 2 coms. So that's separation right there.
Yeah.
All right. And I didn't want to share this with my parents because to them, I'm going to a white school. It was such an achievement then, or rather a prestige that came with being taken to model schools. But we didn't want to mess with that opportunity. But the reality of that separatism ate you up.
As a
You
child.
understand? And the teachers, they did their best to give us the good education. But look, they were also shocked culturally.
Of course.
They were inexperienced in dealing with multicultural beings, all right? And we
Suddenly
were
they have to
confused. We
adjust.
felt hated. We felt excluded. We felt underprivileged and dishonored.
And suddenly
You
they had to
understand?
adjust to your presence.
And now some kids were actually honest to themselves about it to say, why did my parents bring me here? You understand? So in answering your question, I would say, let us be cognizant of the fact that the realities that your kids might face in this new environment is, number one, culture shock. Number two, inhibitions and insecurities that they may not be able to articulate to you because they are being a child, or they are being they're doing it for you as a parent.
Absolutely.
I just don't want my dad to moan about the fact that he's paying for my fees, but I don't want to be here. But you know what? Let me get my metric and never ever set my foot here again. So those are the possible experiences. And he has just helped me unlock that reality. So I would love to give my kids, and I still endeavor to give my kids the best of education, but perhaps we need to have conversations that are meaningful with them.
I love that.
Conversations that I did not have with
I
my
love
own parents.
that.
All I had to do was give them a good report
And
and
all
make
was
the
well
school
for
be
them.
of good report instead of speaking the truth of my own insecurities.
I love that. I actually want to extend on that, and I want to extend on that, agreeing with everything Umawethu has said. But ultimately, I think we tend to underestimate kids' personal agency. I think as parents, we need to take into cognizance how our kids feel about the decisions we make about their lives. I think it's important for us to check up on them, their concerns, and not only brush them off, but deal with them decisively, understand where everything is coming from. We were brought up in a society that never really honestly considered kids' agency, personal agency. It was almost like, I am your mother and you shall do as I say, right? But I think also, with hindsight and with, being intentional about understanding previous things or whatever, our personal histories. I think as parents of modern day, it's quite important for us to understand what our kids are going through in the respective spaces. I'm one parent who has decided that in my parenting space, when the child reaches high school, they must go to a boarding school so that they can also learn and develop and understand themselves. And for me, it's justified because I'm saying it's preparation for varsity. But that does not give you immunity from being a present parent, from understanding what your kids are dealing with. And as I sit here, I'm still faced with my younger child saying, I'm never going there, It's my personal preference, but I'm testing the waters. I'm still keeping an open ear to understand about when she gets to that age, will she still be feeling the same? If she is, I will not have to send her to boarding school, although it is my personal conviction that, listen, you need to understand because that's what boarding school teaches. I'm a boarding school
The intentions are
teacher.
always noble.
So the intentions, whilst they are noble, but you cannot leave them behind. You cannot leave them behind. I know there was a breaking point. There was a point of reckoning. There was a point where you realize, yazi indoni, all the chips are down. Take me through that experience. The moment where you're like, I can no longer put face to this, I can no longer put up appearances, can no longer pretend that I am not in trouble. What was that most bottom place that you hit?
Like I said earlier on, addiction is a progressive thing. So it got worse and worse and worse to the point where I could no longer even keep a job because my mind was never there.
Uqhunyiwe qha.
And that is all I was ever thinking.
Full time.
That's all I could ever
They are
think of.
float.
That is all I could ever think of. And
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Uqhunyiwe qha.
it is what it is.
Morning to evening.
Basically, yeah. It got to the point where it felt like my working was getting in the way of my dragging.
So, no, wait. No, it's quite important. Navigators, what's he saying? Uthi akati, the getting high is getting in the place of your... It's the other way around. In fact, lo msebenzi yanilibazisa because ndifuna uqhunya.
Unfortunately, that is the reality of what goes on in the mind of an addict.
Oh, man.
It's like everything functional is just getting in the way of my happiness, right?
Yes. That's basically what addiction is. Addiction is an obsession of the mind.
Shucks.
That's coupled with a physical allergy. You obsess about getting your next fix, and while you're busy using, you're already worrying about how you're going to get your next fix. And there's a saying that says, when you're an addict, 1 is too many and 1,000 is never enough.
Ah.
And once that starts to become a reality and you start living it because you have no choice, but because it's progressed to that point, unfortunately, anything that you ever valued in your life
Goes out the window.
It takes a back seat to your dragging. And obviously the ones who feel it most are the ones who love you.
We're going to be going for closing, and I've actually enjoyed today's conversation. I've actually enjoyed it, and I haven't enjoyed it because the content was fascinating, but it was honest, it was truthful, and I hope it has shed light for some of our modern parents so that we get to understand that, guys, yes, in striving in life, it's not just about throwing your kids at the best schools, it's about being a constant and a present parent. Enough for you to understand what affects your child, enough for you to understand and keep track of what emotions they're going through, enough for you to understand the world that you send them in at every aspect and every stage of their lives. We're going to be closing, and I just want to see any closing comments. But before I go for closing comments, your story is not a story of, I don't know, of a lost person, because there is a return. We sit here with you, look at you. Tall, dark, handsome. And I want you to, as we close it off, just for us to tell, because there has been an intentional journey for you towards healing, towards finding yourself, and towards actually establishing and reintegrating yourself back into society. Finish off by actually telling us what that journey was about and where you find yourself today. Okay.
Eventually, I realized, I got to a point of desperation where I realized that I just couldn't go on like this anymore. And then, by the grace of God, I was able to get the necessary help, and in getting the necessary help, I got to the conclusion that, you know what, the main problem here was not the substances. That the problem here was me.
Okay.
I had become. I was at the center of everything that had gone wrong. It's my perceptions, my defects of character, and the only way anything was ever going to change was for me to change my way of thinking and my way of doing things. So I had to go through a process where I had to unlearn everything that I thought I knew. I had to learn to break my bad habits and start to develop new ones.
But what was that about?
I was introduced to a program.
Oh, I see.
Yes. It's a 12-step program and each step has a uniqueness about it as you work the 12 steps. And it starts off by admitting that
there's a problem.
There's a problem. And that your life has become unmanageable. And
What was the lowest point you found yourself in, though?
Hell.
Where were you when this moment of clarity was happening? Where were you?
I think when I've hit a number of different rock bottoms. But the lowest point in my life is when I found myself living in the streets. Where I could no longer even recognize myself, and I had become almost like a shadow of my former self, and I was embarrassed and ashamed of what my life had become. I used to hide away from everybody that I knew, and I only came out in the dark, and I'd never go to places where I would meet people that I grew up with and everything. I just lived a life of total darkness, and I just figured I couldn't go on any like this anymore. And that's I think my prayers were answered at the right time. So currently I live by the program, and I apply it not just to my recovery, but in other affairs of my life as well. The program basically allows me to just live one day at a time.
I love that.
A lot of people, I think, when you try to look too far into the future, especially as an addict, the prospect of trying to stay sober for the rest of your life becomes a bit much. But when you break it down to just 24 hours, and if 24 hours becomes too much, you just break it down to an hour at a time. You know? And
it works, right?
Works. It works.
I love that.
Wow.
Until it becomes second nature.
I love that.
I've had a hook, in the space of addiction and rehabilitation that relapse is part of recovery.
Yeah, there's differing opinions on that.
Is it?
I
Yes.
think so. I think
there's different opinions on that.
I think so.
But it's reality. That should you fall, don't feel sorry for yourself for too long. Get up and start again.
I love it.
And as part of my journey, the 12th step of the 12-step program suggests that as a recovering addict, now that you have worked the 12 steps, that program itself is considered as a gift, in that it is free for anybody who genuinely wants it.
That.
So the program is considered as a free a gift to addicts by God, and the only requirement to have this gift is that once you've worked the 12 steps, go back and help another suffering addict.
Wow.
So in keeping with that, I myself do that by rendering service to
Beautiful.
the rehab center where I personally was introduced to the 12 steps. So I go back there on a regular, go there twice a week, to share my story and to share my hope and my strength and how I'm navigating through this journey to new patients at the rehab. I've also become involved in a number of programs in schools where I go and I share a bit of my journey, and particularly around substance abuse.
I love
So yeah, I try to for most of my life, I was a warning sign. The kind of person your parents warn people against. But
you can't be
like them.
So
Now I don't look at myself as a warning more than I'm becoming an example to other people that you can break the mold of this thing. You just need to have the desire to do it.
I love that. You know, as I'm closing, I'm reminded, and you sort of made, I think your completion of your story is a bit emotional for me, because I'm just like, look at God, you know? There's lyrics to a song that says, "Child, it's time to break the shell. You cannot touch the sky until you break the shell." I think that's become your story, where you literally had to break yourself out of the cycle, and now you are flourishing. Not only are you looking good, but you have a story of recovery that is so inspiring, and that gives so much hope to I don't know, but to me especially, that it doesn't matter what circumstance one finds in. I feel like God's journey is never done. I feel like when God gives you life and you continue to live, I think that for me is enough. It's enough for you to decide when you're breaking the shell, when you're turning the situation. Yeah. And I hope for everybody else who might be struggling in any regard, you also understand that God's work is not done with you until He says so. And that you keep at it, and you keep trying, and you keep striving, and you keep aspiring to be the best version that He created you to be. May we all win in our spaces. May we all share stories like Mr. Mrwetyana of overcoming whatever challenges we've been faced with. It is a wrap.
I know, you love me so, me so, me so. I know, you love me so, me so, me so.